Traci Poe is a wife, a mom, daughter, sister, friend, as well as a speaker, trainer, facilitator, coach, encourager, and podcaster. Whether a person is aiming for leveling up their personal or professional life, learning to communicate, to connect is essential. This is Traci's passion, helping others level up their communication skills to gain deeper connections, stronger relationships, and have greater impact with all of the important people in their life. One of Traci's absolute favorite things to do is work with timid introverts on public speaking. Watching her clients step past their fears and grow in their skills is a huge win for her. In addition to a bachelor's and master's degree in communication, Traci has a long history in the communication field through teaching, facilitating, coaching, and of course, continuously learning more about communication. Woo! All right, Traci, take us away.
I want to start with a little story from me to you all. So, we've talked about introverts, and I am actually a massive, massive introvert, timid and shy at times. So, here is some irony. Years ago, I was teaching public speaking. So, there's got to be irony in that, and God has a sense of humor because every time I would be driving that 30 minutes to go teach public speaking, I would be praying all the drive up, Lord, I can't do this. Lord, you got to help me do this. Lord, I need help. But then what would happen was I would get in front of my students and it would just all wash away because I was there to give to them. But that was a required course. And so, what is statistic that most people would rather die than be in front of other people speaking? And so most of my students did not want to be there. They had to be there. It was a required course. So I really enjoyed coming alongside of those students and sitting down with them and saying, yes, you can do this. You can do this, and I'm with you. So here is my question. I know that we have a lot of people here who are speakers, and I am preaching to the choir. But I also know that there are people who are kind of iffy on this whole public speaking thing and what it really can do for your business. So, what is it that is stopping you from using the power of your public presence through public speaking to get that next breakthrough in your business or to make more impact in the world? I would say that we all have this big, ugly beast in the middle of our rooms. And so I want you, we've done some of this. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. And I want you to imagine, what does your big, ugly beast in the middle of your room look like? The one that is stopping you from using the power of public speaking to go get that business breakthrough, to go make more impact in the world. Okay, does everybody kind of have what their big, ugly beast looks like? All right, you can open your eyes back up. Here's what I would say to you. That big, ugly beast in the middle of your room, and I think it was, let me see, who said it at the beginning? Sherry. I think it was Sherry that said something about stinking thinking. Yeah, when she said that, I wrote that down because that is part of what I wanted to talk about. Your big, ugly beast is your own stinking thinking. And so we're going to talk about kicking that big, ugly beast, your stinking thinking, out of your room so that you can really grab a hold of the power of your public presence through public speaking. So we all have reasons that we allow this big, ugly beast in our mind. Is it fear? Do you have a fear? Do you have a fear of looking fearful in front of people? I have a story when my daughter was young, and I can go into this in much greater detail, but I'm just going to cut it down. So she was younger and she wanted to sing on the big stage at church. She wanted to sing in big church. And so we practiced and it was her day and she got up and she did a beautiful job. And when she was done, she came and she grabbed me and was like, Mom, I was so scared. My skirt was shaking, my knees were moving. But here is the deal. Nobody noticed that she was nervous. So we allow this thought to get into our head. Oh, somebody is going to see that I'm nervous. Somebody is going to have notice that I've got that dry mouth or whatever. So if you want to put in the chat, if that's you, maybe make note of some of the things that you are fearful of and some of the ways that those show up physically: nausea, shaking, dry mouth, forgetfulness. What about a fear of failing? Oh my gosh, I'm going to look like a fool. I'm going to make so many mistakes. Everybody's going to judge me. Everybody's going to talk about me. I'm going to humiliate myself. What about that fear? If you have that, put that in the chat. Here is another one that so many people are fearful of, but they don't really connect to it. And that's the fear of, what if they succeed, right? What if you go get all the people taking your offer and now you feel like, I don't have capacity. How am I going to do this? Or they're going to figure out I am a fake, right? It's that imposter syndrome that creeps up. Or what if I'm afraid, or I might be afraid that I'm going to let people down. Sometimes we're also afraid of not really knowing what to do. We're overwhelmed. We don't know where to start, what our topic is going to be, what material is going to be in it, what stories am I going to use. So we don't really have an idea of how to go about starting to public speak. And so we let that get into our heads. But here is what I want everybody to know. You have got to kick that big, ugly beast out of the middle of your room. That stinking thinking has to go. So just like my students figured out, yes, they can do this. If that is you and you are fearful about doing this, you can do this too. So, but I want to talk about first, what is there to gain out of using the power of public speaking to boost your business and to gain that greater impact? So let's go over 5 things very quickly. First, when you are speaking in front of people, you are growing your audience organically. LaDonna talked about that know, like, and trust factor, and that's something that I talk about. So when you're standing in front of an audience, you are letting people know who you are, because if they don't know who you are, if they don't know that you exist, how do they come work with you? Right? We talked about visibility several times today. So if you're in front of people, they also start to get a sense of who you are. I've seen that in today's speakers. People just come out and it lets the audience know who they are and what their heart is. So you're growing that. And then they start to figure out, oh, that person really knows what they're talking about. So that starts to build that trust. So in addition to that, in addition to building your organic know, like, and trust, you also can boost your business and gain more impact from selling from the stage. And so there's a difference if you're using your stage or somebody else's stage. And we've talked about a number of you doing events here. So if you're doing your own event, yes, sell from your stage. But what if you're on someone else's stage and they say, no, 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 you can't pitch yourself. You can't make any offers. But I want you to know you can still sell from the stage, even though they've said, no, you can't officially pitch yourself. When you put yourself out there and people start to see who you are, what your personality is, what your qualifications are, whether you pitch officially or not, there's going to be somebody who wants to work with you and they're going to reach out and say, man, I saw you on that stage and I really want to work with you. So you can do it from your own stage or from someone else's stage. Another thing is that when you are speaking, you are gaining more connections because you got that organic connection at the top, right? You can gain more followers. Now, I think it's Dr. Pat who's talked about if you're speaking on my stage, I'm going to give you my list of attendees. And that is something that you can gain when you're speaking. You can grow your network, LaDonna. You can grow your network because now you've tapped into someone else's audience. Or if it's your event, people are coming into your event and you may not have known who they were. And now all of a sudden you're speaking and you're getting who may have been a cold lead and they are turning into a warm lead for you because they are getting to know you. Another thing, the fourth thing is that when you are speaking in front of people, you can leverage a bigger audience in the same amount of time. So think about it. If you're DMing, that might be one person at a time. If you're picking up the phone and calling, that might be one person at a time, unless you're doing a Zoom thing. If you're posting, you might be reaching potentially thousands of people, but is that a cold lead or is that a warm lead? Or is it a hot lead? So when you are standing in front of people, you are leveraging a larger number of people. Now, LaDonna talked about leaving money on the table. Reason number 5 for you to kick that big ugly beast out of the middle of your room so that you can go about your business of boosting your business through public speaking is that when you're public speaking, you gain so many things. And if you're not taking advantage of this tool of public speaking, you are losing out. Okay, so we closed our eyes a minute ago and we imagined what that big, ugly beast in the middle of our room looked like. Now I want everybody to close their eyes again. And this time, I want you to think about those 5 things that we just talked about, 5 reasons for you to kick the big, ugly beast out and to take advantage of public speaking. So now I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine, walk through those 5 things we just talked about. And which ones of those are your reason to start taking advantage of public speaking? Close your eyes, think about it. Which ones resonate from you? Which ones are going to be to your advantage? And you can put those in the chat, but close your eyes and think about standing in front of somebody and speaking. Okay, what do you do with this? What do you do with this information? Do you choose to do nothing? Or do you choose to take advantage of this? So for those of you who choose to take advantage of the power of public speaking, I have 7 strategies that I want to talk to you about growing that know, like, and trust factor. We're going to run through them very, very quickly. And there are so many more strategies when you do public speaking, but these are just 7 that I think are important. And often these are ones that aren't really talked about. So I wanted to talk about this. Number 1, embrace your passion. And we have had so many speakers today that their passion has just oozed out, right? Like we know they are passionate about their topic. So when you're talking about something, make sure that it is something you are passionate about because that gets noticed. Now, you see me kind of using my hands. I am a talker with my hands, with your body. When I was teaching public speaking, I would have students stand and they would just almost freeze. And they didn't use the motion of their body to capture their audience. So be sure when you're speaking, use your body to capture that attention to engage your audience. Use stories. We've heard so many amazing stories today. Stories evoke emotions. And here's a hint, people will buy out of feelings or emotion, right? So take advantage of that. Remember the ambiguity of words. So here's a quick example. I'm going to do a real fast thing. So in the chat, and I'm going to pull this up, I want you The first word that pops to your mind, I want you to say what you think of when I say dog. Go ahead and just drop that in. Bark. What else? When you think of dog, first word, cat, hair, bite, hugs. First word, support. I love it. Cuddle. But here is my point. There are connotative meanings and denotative meanings. Connotative is what is evoked in a person. So if you say beautiful, dog, apple, any of those kinds of things that could mean something for someone else, you need to understand people may be assigning different feelings to that, right? They may not be thinking the dictionary, the denotative meaning. So keep that in mind when you're using your words, when you're choosing what you're speaking about and that message. Use very specific words for the message that you want to give across. Ignore bad public speaking advice. This is a huge one to me. It is something I talk about. And even a few months ago, I saw someone post something like, imagine people in their underwear. That is still going around, and that is really bad public speaking advice. Or look over their heads. Don't make eye contact. That is not good public speaking advice. So ignore the bad public speaking advice. Be authentic. When you are yourself, people get to know you, they get to like you, they get to trust you. If you are not being yourself, that's going to be off-putting. People are going to see right through it. The last one of the 7 strategies is when you're on, you're on. So for example, if you are speaking on a live stage and you're in the room and people know that you're about to speak, people are watching you. They are watching what you are doing. And so just remember that when you're on, even if you're not on. Okay, so I have one bonus strategy. When you are kicking your beast out of the middle of your room so that you can harness the power of your public speaking to boost your business, to gain greater impact, remember that just like my students, you can do this and I've got you. So I want to keep this going and I want to talk about what we've talked about so far. So let's review. We've talked about kicking the big ugly beast out of the middle of our room. We've talked about why it's important to use the power of your public speaking. And we've talked about strategies for when you are public speaking. Now, last time, everybody shut your eyes. Even though you're shutting your eyes, I want you just to focus on standing in front of a crowd, whether it's virtual or on a stage. And I want you to imagine delivering your talk. And I want you to imagine crushing it. You've given your points. You've gained that know, like, and trust. And people are noticing you. And now they want to work with you. You nailed it. Okay, open your eyes back up. Before I leave, I want to talk about one more resource just to get you going. And this is, and I've talked to some of you about this in a breakout room, but I am dropping, LaDonna, this is my offer. I am dropping today, just announcing it, my new community. It is the Public Speakers Growth Hub. And so whether you are new to public speaking or you've been doing it for a while and you just want to polish, this is for you. I had somebody contact me, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago, and she heard me speak and she said, look, I've been speaking for 3 years and I'm not getting anywhere when I'm up in front of people and I want to start making a difference. And so we talked about that. So even if you've been speaking for a while and you want to level up, this hub is for you. I want you to get in there and soak up the support. Imagine the power of your public speaking. Imagine having more impact. So LaDonna, I'm going to drop that link in the chat, but thank you so much for having me. And I have just really enjoyed today.
That is awesome. Awesome. Woo!